Mark, maybe you could touch on, how we built on top of all this technology with the desktop application. Maybe, touch on the difference between Pieces for Developers, the desktop application, as well as Pieces OS, the thing that powers the desktop application and our plugins.
Absolutely, yeah. So for those who aren't familiar, Pieces OS is it's a centralized application that's just running locally on your computer that enables any one of the Pieces plugins to connect to Pieces OS. That way, it has one centralized backend that kind of all of the plugins get to talk to. That way, all the data is shared, it's not replicated, and all that sort of fun stuff. So with that, what we can do is we started the downloading phase for some of these LLMs, and you can't ship them directly with your Pieces OS build. I mean, you can, but then you're going to have problems with it's going to take a long time to update to the next version. So what we do is we download a lot of that stuff at runtime. So that's really great. We utilize different isolates and so on to ensure that it's a smooth download process and all of your different pieces actions can continue to function properly. So after that download process at runtime, what we can do is we can actually start to load and use that model itself. And again, just like the download process, we want to ensure it's still a smooth process and you're still able to save, share, and reuse. So what we do is when we're loading and we're actually using the model, it's actually running in an isolate to make sure that the main thread of your actual Pieces OS application continues to run smooth. So with that, what we can do is we set up a WebSocket connection from Pieces for Developers to Pieces OS. And then with that, what we can do is we can make a request to the isolate to go ahead and load, or if it's already loaded into memory, just go ahead and use it immediately. And then from the isolate, what we're able to do is communicate with send ports and so on via Dart, and then communicate some of those changes via stream controllers. So it starts to get a little complex, but in a nutshell, all we're doing is we're just making sure that Pieces OS runs smooth and making sure that we're delivering those individual changes to any of the open WebSocket connections to Pieces OS. And then the final piece here is, hey, if that model is loaded in the isolate, what can happen is your Pieces OS will be, either one, using CPU, or number two, it's using up RAM associated with your GPU. So what we can also do is we will proactively unload that if you haven't used it in a little bit, or number two, you can go ahead and you can unload that once you're done using it to free up some of that memory.